you're welcome, everyone. Welcome So I had a funny question. I had a very very funny question. Like each time people think that tech is one big stuff, right? I'm like, do I need to learn? In my mind, I'm like, do I need to learn coding before I can be able to? Do I need to learn coding? Do I need to do all of this hard stuff I can before I can be before I can be tech pro, like tech pro. And yeah, this is the question. The question is, now let me start by asking, Kazim, is it necessary for so everyone? Yes, Kazim is a tech bro, and Kazim, would you like to introduce yourself before I ask you the question? So, Kazim, you have the floor.
Okay, thanks, Alemz. I don't know if I categorize myself as a tech bro. I know I'm a tech bro. That word tech bro, it comes with one mark I don't usually like. Okay, yeah, my name is Kazim, as Alemz rightly said. I am a software engineer. I think officially or unofficially, sorry, unofficially, I've been in tech for like 6 years, thereabout. I think I started back in 2017. So I've dabbled in quite a number of things in tech, but my focus in tech at the moment is building software solutions, both front end and back end, and sometimes I dabble in mobile development also. Yeah. So I think that's a simple introduction. Alan.
Thank you so much, Kazim. Thank you really so much. So yeah, so Kazim, let me start by asking, do I need to or let me ask by what is tech really? What is tech? Like everybody's shouting tech, tech, tech. They want to go into tech. They are this tech. Do I need to? Do I need to be? What is?
Yeah, Alan, I think I missed the actual question.
I said what is tech that people used to call? And what is tech? Is it intro tech? Is it technology education and all of that? So yeah, what is the
All
tech
right.
tech that everybody?
Okay. I think I gave this answer previously, but in simple form, I think tech would just be a set of careers that have the major part of the career has to do with technology. So technology in areas where you're either building digital solutions or you're solving a problem, but using technology to do that. So if with that definition, I think it's too broad because you can literally factor any career line into that. But the typical area that people consider when they think of tech, I think is majorly coding. But there's no area in tech that's coding. Coding is like a subset of something, but people just believe that if you are using a laptop, you're in tech technically. But yeah, and it has some element of truth in that. But there are many career choices you can choose that you find yourself in tech, even weird ones. I think sometimes someone told me content writing can be tech. So yeah, sorry about the rant, but yeah, any career choice that has a major part to do with technology, I consider that part as a tech career. Yeah.
Yes. So Kazim, thank you very 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 much. So Kazim, I have a question. I'm very 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 question. Do I need to learn coding before I go into tech? Because everybody says, once you have started code, you have this and that, then I'm a tech bro.
No, you don't. I'm coming to think of it now. I think 50% of the parts of tech don't have to do with coding. Um, in fact, interestingly, I think as I late last year, something that's been going around more is something called no code. So building websites without code, doing quite a number of things. So, and there are even other areas in tech where you don't necessarily have to understand how to code, but you can interact with it. But those areas of tech, they are quite large also, and also designers. So designers don't even know how to code. In fact, I think that's even a problem for me. But yeah, most designers don't know how to code, and they are still very much in tech. In fact, they are probably more of the backbone of tech than we even consider them to be. So yeah, we don't have to know how to code to be in tech.
So thank you very very much for this. So I've been thank God. I don't have to. I ran away from school not just to come back to come and now be racking my head on what skills I should code and all of that. Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.
Guys, if you have any question, you can use the chat room or you can request for the microphone if you want to ask any question. Kazim would be glad to answer your question. So Kazim, you made mention earlier that there are different types of tech and all of that. Can you help us with maybe one or two kind of text that don't require coding that is actually interesting? So yeah, can you please fill us in?
Okay. I think the first one would be UI design. I want to specify say UI design because if I say design generally, there are quite a number of areas in design. So UI design, um, that's one. Quality assurance, which is QA. You can do QA without coding, but it doesn't necessarily mean you won't code. So if you want to be very good at a job, you eventually have to code. And interestingly, web development. So earlier when I said unofficially I've been in tech for 6 years, is because the first 2 years of my tech career, I wasn't most of the jobs I was doing wasn't really coding related. So I was just building websites using WordPress. It's a content management system. I still do that till today, and most of the website I build with WordPress, I don't have to code. In fact, I don't even understand the code behind WordPress very well. So typically, I would say web development too. You can do web development without writing a single line of code. Yeah. So I think I give 3 areas. Yeah.
Those that are just beginning, Kazim, can you
Okay. So I said there. I gave 3 career paths in tech that you can do without having to write code. So I said UI design, QA, or quality assurance as it's normally called, or testers. I think they're testers if you ask. And the third one I said web design or web development, not web design. Web development. It's always a very confusing thing. Yeah. I think someone is requesting for the mic, Alemz.
Emmanuel, you have the mic. If you have any question, Emmanuel, you can speak. Emmanuel, you are muted.
Yeah, I'm new. I wanted to ask question on UI design.
Okay, please do ask.
Okay, because I'm learning UI design using Figma. So I want to know, do you have a tutorial which can help me learn faster? Because one thing with me about design is not just about design. One is, how do you know what to design? That is my own question.
Okay. Emmanuel, yeah, your question is very interesting, and the beautiful part of this space is I think I have quite a number of friends on this space. Emmanuel, would you mind muting yourself?
Okay.
Yeah. So one beautiful part of this whole space is I have quite a number of friends here, and they specialize in UI design. So I don't do UI design. I've dabbled in it before, but I would never consider myself as a UI designer. So there's someone here with his name Semasa. We have another person, Olamide. So you can always DM any of those two. Trust me. They can answer any question you have in UI because they've been doing it for quite a while now. But if you would, I think I don't recommend anything in UI design because anything I recommend typically for UI design might be outdated because the last time I did it was quite a while ago. But I will just drop the username of the people you can reach out to, and I think that should help answer your questions. Yeah, thank you.
Daniel, I
Okay.
hope.
Yeah. You were talking about WordPress. Actually, I did learn how to use WordPress to create website, but the issue is how to get clients. Like, how do you get clients? How do you get customers that you help to do work? I don't know how to do that.
Okay, how I get customers. Um, I would say this is a very interesting one. Why? Because it didn't just come from me just designing a website. So originally, when I started out in tech, I started building a website. I think the first job I had to build a website for a friend's mom. She had an NGO, or she still runs the NGO now, and I charged them 15,000 naira. It was based on a referral. So I knew how to build a website. So my friend said, "Oh, his mom needs a website." And I was like, "Okay, yeah." Since it was my first job, I said 15,000, and that 15,000 I just generally covered the hosting and the domain of building that website. So I didn't make any gain from that. And that job literally opened my eyes to get many other jobs. So after building that particular website, so technically for free, I would say that I have to state that clearly. So I technically built that website for free. And after building that, I built another website for the organization I was working at then, Equip Africa. Then from that organization, I got a referral to a client that was actually willing to pay for my services. So how you get your first job, it's a very tricky road when it comes to tech. But I think one of the things I did was to give my services out to other people so I could get the experience and possible exposure to actually get my first paying gig. Okpemko, do you still want to ask your question? Because you requested for the mic.
Jeremy, you have the mic. So, Jeremy, you can speak. You have the mic.
Good evening, guys. Good evening, Alemz. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay. Good evening, Kazim. Mr. Kazim. Good evening, sir. So, the question I wanted to ask, right? So, for me, I had started learning, I'll call it front end at a time like, I'll say, I think about 2 years now. I was learning front end then with a friend's laptop at the time, but I couldn't complete it or like continue because there was like a break in transition in my learning process. As well, friend had to move from where I was staying, so we're not together again. So he took his laptop. So I couldn't. Since then, I just stopped learning anything in tech really. But now I'm still this person that wants to still do something in tech, So, but now I don't think I have that time again. I won't say 100% not have that time, but like I'm not sure how much I can sit down again for hours to say I want to start learning something of the nature like front end, all of Java, CSS, HTML, and stuff. So, and I know that there are a lot of other aspects in tech. So, for someone that still wants to like say start something new in tech, that might not necessarily. I know yes, everything might necessarily need time to sit down and learn something, but maybe not as much time as front end would take. Is there any other hand or aspect in tech that you can advise or what's the word now? Suggest I can also just go into starting out again? Because honestly, like I don't think I can even remember anything. Obviously, if I was to take HTML CSS again, I'll have to start revising because I've not touched it since that time, which is about 2 years ago. So I hope you get my question.
Yeah, I do. I don't know. Can you hear me, Farron?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
awesome. So yeah, your question is quite interesting because I think it's a typical case for anyone trying to get into tech in the first place, because I think for everyone that's trying to get into tech, it's either you have a current job, one, or you are probably a student and you have to attend classes, which is normal. So, but one thing I would say is I don't think there's an area first. I think the first question is there something you can do that you don't have to spend so much time? So I don't think there's an area in tech you don't have to at least minimum spend the 10,000 hours to master it, right? But to even get to the first stage of the whole thing, I don't think there's an area you don't have to spend much time to learn. But what I can advise is you can somewhat restructure yourself or your schedule around learning. So one thing I always tell people is that, okay, when I started out in tech, I had to make a lot of sacrifices, which is something I don't think most people realize. And when I say sacrifice, I actually mean sacrifice because maybe it's your sleep you sacrifice, maybe it's your data you sacrifice. If you get what I'm saying, because back then there was there's this midnight sub. I think there's still midnight sub now. I'm saying it sounds funny, but yeah, I usually do MTN midnight sub, and I had 3 SIMs back then. So I had MTN, Glow, and another MTN SIM. So in the midnight, so I think midnight stop started from 12 to 7 or 6. So I would do the first data on the first one. So 25 naira 5 times, that's 1 point something gig or 2 gig thereabout. I'll use that to download YouTube videos. And I'll do that again for the Glow SIM to download YouTube videos. And I have to stay awake typically for that period of time. So from 12 to 5 or to 6 sometimes. And that was the only time I could actually sacrifice to learn, because the next day I had to teach people what I just learned that night. I think I'll probably get into that later on, but yeah. So, and that's how I actually even learned myself in tech. So I think you will probably just have to make some sacrifices or reschedule yourself around actually learning what you want to take in tech itself. I don't know if that answered your question, Fermi.
Partially, I still the part of suggesting what because obviously, yes, the only part I still know, like I have an idea of what goes on there is front end and back end. But yes, I don't know if I'm sort of open to other things now, or will you advise any other thing now? So that's what
okay.
That's my
So I don't typically advise people to pick an area in tech. I'll preferably ask you to do your own research and tell me what area you think you'll be more interested in. Because the simple truth is, if I advise you to pick an area in tech, I will be obligated to ensure you consistently stay on that path in tech. But what I can always do is to advise you, okay, do your research and figure out what area of tech do you think suits your skill set best or suits your personality best. And that area of tech, you can then now do more research and see if you'll be very invested in making the sacrifices and taking the steps to getting better in that particular area. Is that fine, firm?
Yes, sir. That works. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, as in, you have a question. Somebody said you should. Kazim, tell us the first story, like your hardest part. Don't start like your hardest part in self. Like your hardest part.
Yeah, that's a very tricky question, and I don't think I want to start answering this on Twitter space because the people that were in that part of my hardest part can possibly hear this and just like, oh, interesting, that was the hardest part. Okay, so the hardest part for me, my tech career, was I think around 2019. Yeah, 2019. So how it all started. So I typically started my career in 2017. I joined an organization, started learning back then. From there, I started teaching while learning. And after, I think in 2018, I was writing JAM. So I think almost everybody here wrote JAM. Let's say I'm one rich kid. But yeah, I was writing JAM, not getting admission as the story goes. And in 2019, so I met, in 2018, I met a friend that said he was running a company and would be interested to for me to come over. So I took him up on that offer. I joined their organization in 2019. That's Tech Savvy. And when I joined Tech Savvy in 2019, it was a very interesting thing because I got in there as an intern, and typically every internship runs for 6 months. So I was an intern for 6 months, but I was still schooling by that time. So I got admission to Yaba Tech, which means I had to, and Yaba Tech was part-time. So I had to work from 9 to 5. So I worked from 9 o'clock till I think 4. I usually leave the office around 4 or 4:30 to run down to school to meet classes, because classes typically started by 5 p.m. in school. So I was doing that for 3 years of my life, right? Yeah, literally, I was doing that for 3 years of my life because I was in Yabatech for 3 years. And within that same time, so from that 2019 to 2020, after I was done my internship, or even while I was doing my internship, I was being paid 15,000 per month. And it was actually an interesting time because the skill I was learning back then, so and still what I use to date, .NET, it's a framework, but the language is C#. So it's considered as a boring language in the sense that it's usually used for, say, financial institutions and banks and the likes. So that means that particular skill I couldn't just easily get a side gig from it. And that's another thing entirely. So side gigs, I couldn't get side gigs from it. So I had to just leverage on my WordPress skills to be able to get side gigs. But it wasn't coming that much. So it was like, okay, I was trying to, it wasn't like I was feeding myself all through that period. So like it sound like I'm one independent guy. So in that period, I had assistance from my family, but typically I had to still fend for myself, and 15K wasn't a lot. And still the stress of working and going to school. So I think that was the hardest part in my tech career, which I still do. In fact, I just graduated some months back, so I still do so. But it's really the hardest part. Schooling and working is very hard, and especially for tech, it was very hard. Yeah. I don't know if I answered that the right way. Alemz.
So it looks like Polosai, you have the question. You can speak. So guys, if you have any question, you can request for the mic. If you have any question, you can request for the mic. If you have any question. If you have any question, you can request for the mic. Polosai, you have topic. Polosai, you have the floor. You are muted. Polosai.
Oh yeah. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Alemz, and good evening, cousin. Now, my question: how many did you learn, or did you just learn all at a time?
Okay. I don't know if I got the question correctly. It was, did I learn many languages or what?
Yeah. Like, I mean, did you learn all the languages in tech?
Okay. No, I did not. I don't think it's even possible to learn every language in tech. Paul, do you mind muting yourself? Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So I don't think it's possible to learn every language in tech. So I didn't learn all. But when I started out, I think I learned. Okay, let me try to remember. I learned Python. I learned PHP. I learned Java. I learned C++. I learned. It's funny now because I can't remember anything in all those languages I just mentioned. So yeah, I was moving through many languages when I started out in tech, and it took a while before I had a stern focus on picking a particular language, learning it to a certain level that I can say I mastered the language to a certain level before I then started learning other languages. But yeah, HTML is typically not considered as a programming language, so that's why I didn't mention it in this list. So I actually started from HTML and CSS, but after then I started doing PHP, Python. But then I later went back to learning a bit of JavaScript. Then after learning JavaScript, I then realized, okay, that's when I joined Tech Service. So yeah, and Tech Service, the first question they asked me was, would you be willing to learn C Sharp? And I was like, I don't know C Sharp, but sure, if you teach me, I would learn it. So, and for the next 3 years, that was from 2019 down to 2020 or till now, I focused on learning C Sharp and trying to master it. So my core language is even C Sharp, if you ask me. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, can you explain C sharp and like I'm new here, so can you just explain a brief C sharp?
Okay. No one has ever asked me that question before. Okay, C Sharp. C Sharp is a programming language created by Microsoft. I think it's 2002. It can be used to build typically almost every type of applications you can think of. So mobile, web, desktop, microservices, cloud applications, serverless applications, and the like. So you can use it to build games. I think Unity uses C Sharp as the core language to build games also. So yeah.
Okay, that's good.
So
Thank you. So, Kazim, there's one question I want to ask you. So, how can or what is the fastest tech I can learn?
if
Don't
if
mind.
if I answer that question, some people will kill me on this call. Wait, I don't think there's a fastest tech. It depends on how fast you can assimilate it and how easy the path you took learning it. So, because I can say web development can be the fastest thing. Like you can learn how to build a WordPress site. If you are actually serious, in a month you can actually master how to build a website using WordPress. But saying that also simply means that, are you sure you're using the right tutorials? There are a lot of factors into answering that question, so it depends. I think that's the best way to say it. Yeah, it depends.
So, thank you very much. It looks like that's what I'm actually going to web development. Thank you. Open for you have the floor, please. You can ask. Open for you are muted. Just so you know.
Hi, good evening, Alemz. Good evening, Kazim. Okay, so I have two things. I have a question, and then I think I want to say something to what Emmanuel said earlier. So he said something like, what or how do you know what to design? So I think that's why we have Dribble here, so you can like get inspirations from Dribble. I think they have like everything and anything you want to design. Yeah. So my question is, do you not get tired of, everything tech? Do you not get bored? When I was like doing UI UX at some point, I got bored, I got tired. I was like, this thing is boring. Like, how do I sit with my screen from morning to night with all the headaches from the screen? And like, don't you get tired? How do you get the inspiration? How do you get the drive to keep pushing, to want to continue? Yeah, that's my question.
Sorry, I was laughing when you asked that question because it's a very funny one, and it's something I think everybody in tech gets to answer at some point. So, does it get boring? Yes, it does. It's the sad truth. It does get boring. I think anything you do over and over for a period of time would eventually get boring. But that's what even makes it more beautiful, because at the point where it gets boring is when you have to find that thing that brought you into tech in the first place. So for me, what I do is I try to work on projects, and I linked this from a distant mentor of mine. I try to work on projects. So if you think what you're doing is boring, pick up a project and try to focus on that. And the simple truth is, when you are getting into tech, most people get into tech because it's the hype word, it's the hype thing. So everybody's doing tech, so let me get into tech. I won't blame anybody for doing that because, yeah, that happens. But if you got into tech because it's the hype word, you then have to still figure out, okay, how do I then go above the hype and get into the real thing? Because it's the hype that makes people, like, it's the hype that actually made me at some point started learning different languages, because I heard Python is very easy to write, so I started learning Python. PHP is the main thing, I started learning PHP. So it's easy for you to just go down that path because you are looking for something that interests you or keeps you in tech. But it's best you keep a stern focus on the thing you're trying to learn in the first place, and that helps you to go past that boring phase, because there's always going to be a boring phase, and it's not like it's a one-time thing. Trust me, the boring phase you had 2 years ago would come at some point other time again, and you have to still figure out another way to help you go through that phase, I would consider. So yeah, that's how I tend to go through my own boring phase, if you ask. Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Alright,
Kazim. Was that an answer?
I didn't get that.
I said, was your question answered?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you.
Well, let me pronounce this. Andrew. Let me pronounce that. So Andrew,
It's Semasa. It's Semasa.
I saw your comment about you.
Yeah, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Now, aside that question, I have a question, and uh, basically, it's about. I know there are a lot of professionals, amateurs, people in the middle, right? So we have a range of experts. We have, there are different levels actually, right? So there are persons on this call that are probably beginners, some in the middle, while some are just veterans basically. So in this tech space, right? So and there is a subject of tech that maybe because of the passion, right, and the hype from the very start, people don't get to like talk about it, and on the long run, I think it tends to really take a toll, right, if the person is not very exposed to the question on time. And that's the business part of tech, right? That's the part where you make money from it. So I would like Kazim to tell us, just give us tip, just tell us about the business side of tech, how to negotiate, all of those uh, business parts basically, right? This is not the skill part, right? I think we've had a lot of questions on the skill part, what to learn, the tool to learn, and all of those other things. But now, can you just give us some tip on the business part of tech, and what your experience is, right? In addition to how you deal with clients that they have evil spirits, basically. The evil spirit is actually in quotes, so pardon me. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Pastor Semasa, evil spirit, long, long. Okay, the business part. Uh, that's a very interesting question. So the business part is, so for anyone that is starting out in tech, I wanted to take this from a beginner's part. If you're just starting out in tech and you're just learning, you have to understand something, that you are learning does not certify that you have experience. And this probably even cuts across every profession. So if you don't have experience, nobody will pay you. I'm not going to pay you to come and learn on my job. I'm going to only pay you if I know you have experience, or in some rare cases, I know you have the potential to do the job. So how do you gain experience is how I tend to look at that. So there are many ways to gain experience. You can gain experience from internships, you can gain experience from volunteering, you can gain experience from doing a lot of free jobs, you can even gain experience from partnering with someone. So as I was explaining earlier, my first gig I did for almost free, or technically free, and I've done quite a number of free jobs from that time till now. I think probably I have more free jobs than even jobs that have been paid for, if you ask me. But one thing I do is I do strategic free jobs now. I think that's a better way to say it. So my current church where I attend, PowerPoint Tribe, when I joined, I noticed that my pastor, Damiel Kunsinde, he had a website, but it was just typically a blog. So I felt, oh, I know how to build a website, and this website is there. I reached out to him and I was like, oh, PDAMS, would you mind if I build a website, if I redesign your website? I was like, yeah, sure, cool. And I redesigned the website. I did that for free. And that was even also like as a means of service in my case. But after doing that free job, I still noticed that, okay, I think someone else too had an NGO in the church back then. And the person said, Kazim, I have an NGO. Would you like to partner with us and build our site as a way of contributing to the NGO? And I said, yeah, sure. That helps the person to build the website. But after I built PDAM's website, because he's the pastor, and which simply means most people look up to the pastor in one way or the other, if you'd ask me. Someone saw the website I built, and the person was like, Kazim, I didn't know you build websites, right? Would you mind building a website for my organization? And okay, just send me your invoice and everything. And in that moment, I was just like, wow, I didn't even think out, like, yeah, I knew I built it for like as service, but I didn't really remember to think about it as a way to get a job. And that just changed my perspective a bit more on how to get clients. So I don't have flyers. I don't do flyers generally, and I don't have company I'm putting all my jobs on that. I just do it under Cousin Quadrant. I'm even trying to work on that at the moment. But yeah, doing those free jobs were very strategic on me getting the experience, or people seeing the kind of things I've done. Nobody went to check for Cousin Quadrant and check for my website, but people checked for Damiel Gutsinde's website, and seeing that I was the one that redesigned it. I didn't even build it from scratch, but I redesigned everything. Simply gave people that, okay, this guy can do the job, and someone was willing to pay me to do that job. And even since that time, I think I built up like 7-8 websites for people just in my church alone. And from there, I had so it's basically based on referrals, and that's the interesting thing about tech. I don't think tech is more of a referral thing than people even care to admit. So if you are good in something, let people know about it, make noise about it. I think that's the best way to say it. I know I'm not a Twitter guy or even a social media guy in general, but I always ensure I try to make noise about what I do in the most strategic way possible. So if you do anything in tech general, and I always tell some of my friends, while you're even learning, still just post it online. Hey, I just designed this thing, blah, 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 check it out. Someone might be interested. It might be a free job, and I would not say you should take a free job, and I would never say you should take a free internship. But sometimes if you know what you're going to gain from that particular situation, and you weigh it against the potential amount of money you would have collected if someone was going to pay you for that, if it's worth it, take it. And if it's not, look for something else that will work for you. But typically, I think getting that initial internship, getting that initial referral from someone that, oh yeah, I did this job. I think something even happened. I did a free job for a friend of mine. Sorry, my boss, if I put it very fantastic. It was getting married. I did a free job for him. I did it for free. And someone said, oh, I like this website. Who helped you to build it? And the person like, yeah, me. And when the person came to me, I charged the person like a proper price. I didn't even worry about I did it as a free job initially, if you get what I mean. So that's one way I typically get clients. Now, how to handle clients with witchcraft? So I think I had an experience 2 years ago. So it was basically a client that wasn't willing to pay from the initial get-go. If I had known, I wouldn't have taken the job in the first place. So when I wanted to start the job, the client. So I think I should state this. And that structure I do for whenever I take payments for my clients is I always say 70% before the job, then 30% right after. So that way I know if the person has paid 70%, that means the person is really having skin in the game. So it's not as I'm almost done with the website and the person's telling me no, blah blah blah. You understand? And so that case of that this client I had was that okay, this client came from someone like the client came from someone that knows me, right? Someone referred me to the client. But at the same time, I've not met that client directly, but I met him through other people. So I heard, oh, this person is a good person. So I was like, okay, we'll do this job. So the person was supposed to pay the 70% before I started the job generally. But the person was like, oh, he's having bank issues. So the person didn't pay at all. So based on trust, I'll continue doing the job. So I was done with the website, literally done. And I was like, oh, I'm done with the website. And that's when the client came on and said, this wasn't even what I said you should do in the first place. So imagine every page, and one thing I typically do is whenever I complete like a page, I get feedback from the client. Okay, is this right? Is this not right? So I'll be able to work on the rest. And I was getting go ahead, good job, thumbs up. You understand? And I got to the last part of the job, and the person's telling me that okay, this was not what we agreed on in the first place. In that kind of case, I told the client, oh, if that's the case, don't worry, don't pay me. I'll write this up as a loss. And why I was able to do that was because there's something I always tell myself, my integrity would always come first before any money anyone is going to pay me. Because the simple truth is, I understand everybody needs money, and I can't deny this fact. The reason why you're even getting into tech in the first place is because you want to earn more, or you probably want to do something that is more flexible. But yeah, at the end of the game, you still want to get paid for your work. But if that comes above your integrity, you then find yourself in situations where you would have to take jobs you don't want to take, or jobs you should not take. Because a lot of Yahoo boys have reached out to me to help them build websites, do some other scam stuff. I always say no, but to be sincere, those deals are very enticing, very, very enticing. I've had some very enticing offers, and typically I would have just taken it if I didn't consider that integrity over. So for that kind of client, I'll just say take your money, and I'll just write that off as a loss. And another reason why I could do that is because I have a 9 to 5. So let me not sound like a motivational speaker. I have a 9 to 5. So, and that's another reason why I've always kept my 9 to 5 and not just go all out on, say, I'm working as a freelancer or something. Because sometimes I have these situations where I have witchcraft clients. I'm quoting Silver. I have clients that have something in their head, or maybe I didn't even get gigs for that month. So if I'm just a freelancer, probably I'll be on the street at this time. So yeah, that's another thing I used to cushion myself. So let me just go over it again. Get the experience. However you want to get it is now up to you. So either you're getting it as an internship, or you're volunteering or something. Make noise about what you do. So it can be anyhow you choose to do that. It can be just on Twitter, it can be on your social media, your WhatsApp status, through your friends. For me, it's doing strategic free work. I'm quoting this again, doing strategic free work. So free jobs. That's how I make noise about my skills. So yeah. So much am I sure I got all the questions you asked? I don't think I answered everything.
Yes, boss. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Alemz, the ball is in your court.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much. Pepe, please, if you have any questions, can you ask because of time so that you can ask. Pepe, you are muted. So I love that you're muted. You are muted. Pepe, you are muted.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Alex and Kazim. Please, me on this tech, I'm new. It's someone that introduced it to me, and it's someone that gave me this link that I should join because I have interest in it.
My question is that I've been listening to this program since how Mr. Kazim is giving us instruction and the experience. But what I want to ask of is that me going to YouTube as a learner. So what like me now, what I want to specialize on this tech is web design. So me doing web design now, going to YouTube to go and download materials and all those stuff. I want to ask that which person materials should I download on YouTube? Because on YouTube we have so many people that they just post their materials on YouTube and they won't explain it very well. Based on his experience, while googling, while searching for this for web creator, this stuff, so we would have known the better person that we can search for on YouTube, that we can be following on YouTube for web design. That's what I want to ask her. Okay, Pepe, I don't have the better person to search for that. I think I should state that first. But
Kazim, did you get
from
it?
what you asked, I did. From what you asked, what I typically answer in situations like this is do your research. So for anything you want to learn in tech, someone has probably learned it before, someone has a video on it on YouTube, and that's very true. So if you do your research and say, okay, I want to learn, let me use an example. I want to learn how to build websites with WordPress. One of the few things I'll first do is who is the top person in the WordPress space that does free videos on YouTube. So I'm specific about that, free videos, because the simple truth is there are some people that are very good teachers, but they don't do free videos, or maybe they have just short free videos. And okay, while I'm doing that research, I've discovered, okay, there's this guy I typically watch for WordPress videos. His name is Naya Sheikh. He's an Indian guy. So there's Naya Sheikh. I recently found Living with Pixels. So that's based on my own research. And I can always refer these guys to you that, okay, if you want to learn WordPress, go and watch these guys. If you want to learn, say, React, I think another guy I watch is Papa React, and that's Sonny Sanga. But I got these guys from my research, and I can always refer these guys to you based on what exactly you want to learn. So if you're learning web development, it's a very broad field, because people just typically say, well, web development. So it's probably front end, it's probably back end, it's probably just WordPress, or maybe another CMS entirely. So if you can narrow what you want to learn down and do your proper research, or even ask questions. So and that's another thing. That's part of research itself. So you probably know someone that is good in this field. I know that's why you're asking me, but at the same time, I would still say you narrow down the question to the exact area of tech you want to actually learn. Or if you have not even figured out that area, it's fine. Just do your research. You can always reach out to me anytime. I think my DM is open on Twitter. Yeah, okay. And I can always answer your question. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, anytime.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Mr. Okay, so before my question, I think so yes, which the habit, so this is my question, and I think this is so my question is, yes, about this and everything. The one person you have to grow.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Alemz. Good evening, Kazim. So my question is, I'm new in tech. I want to learn front-end development. So I've been on HTML for weeks. I don't know how to go about it. I've been watching a lot of videos on YouTube, different type of videos. and I don't know where to start from. Please, Kazim, is there any maybe like video, like YouTube, like these people on YouTube that you can refer me to that can be of help? So that's my question.
Okay. I think before I do the referral part, Matthew, I don't mind asking, have you figured out why exactly you are stuck on HTML for the past 2 weeks? Or are you stuck in a particular area in HTML, or you're just continuing learning?
I've been on the title, the heads, stuff like that. I don't even know where to start from. I don't know what to do.
Okay. So I would have said I want to say I should say refer a particular video for you to watch, but I think what you still need to watch first of all before watching that any HTML tutorial is understanding what web development is or front-end development is about, because if you're stuck in head and title, it's probably something more more rooted than what you are thinking. But if you check out Free Code Camp, you can just search on YouTube Free Code Camp. They have an introduction to web development or HTML and CSS tutorial you can always watch, and it's very detailed and interesting. So, and if you still have should I say questions in that area, or you probably still don't understand, maybe you can reach out to me. I can always link you up with someone that can probably be of help, or even if myself, I can always help out with that also. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Alemz.
I'm speaking, I did not unmute. Sorry about that. Thank you so much. So, Kazim, this is our question, right? So, some of us here are not, we have not even heard of stuff before. We are just hearing. You mentioned that there is UI, there is what's this? QA, yes, quality assurance. There is the last one is web development. So, are there places that so we know that yes, you like can teach you even how to make a gun. YouTube can teach you how to create anything. In fact, atomic bomb. But my question is, what are the areas of the
Alemz, you went off. Yeah, I can hear you now.
What are the areas or places that we can probably maybe look for?
Okay, areas. I used to probably start from that YouTube. Okay, although I'll try to find a link and maybe I'll just share it later on. So I created this resource platform of some sort where you can get links to videos you can watch and stuff. But I will try to find out and share. But I would still say if you are learning something typically in the coding or design space in tech, check out Free Code Camp. Just start from there. The reason why I always recommend starting from Free Code Camp is because the courses that the videos they upload on Free Code Camp are typically premium videos, so videos you have to actually pay for. But because of they're trying to give back to the community, they make them for free there. So if you check out Free Code Camp, you'll be able to get a premium video. If you can finish, and typically their videos are always like 7 hours, 4 hours, 10 hours. So if you can successfully watch that lengthy video and learn from it, not just watching it as a video, just learning from it and watching tutorial and practicing. If you can successfully do that, I think by the end of that tutorial, you should probably even know what's the next video you need to even watch. And also, I think I wrote it down somewhere. I just can't find where I wrote it. The should I say steps on how to get into tech. So the first thing is to do your research. After doing your research, you pick an area in tech typically. So, and after doing the research, you then find a mentor or a guide. This mentor doesn't have to be someone you have seen. I have some mentors that I have not seen in my life, and they have not seen. They probably don't even know I exist. Okay, one of them knows I exist, but I've never seen him too. So, these mentors would probably guide you through how to start from zero to hero. It's funny, yeah. I'll start from zero to hero. So, one of my personal mentors is Tim Corey. He does C# tutorials, but he also has a podcast, which I think anyone listening on this video should just check out. The name of the podcast is Dev Questions by Tim Corey. That's TimCorey. So what he does typically in that dev question is to answer questions that developers or upcoming developers have in the tech space. So just listening to that every weekday gives me answers more questions for me than I even know that I even have in my head. So that's another guide. So he always has some sort of like a guide to starting from HTML down to C# and other areas like that. So, and there are other people that do this for different fields in tech. So I think I mentioned Sonny Sanga. He does the same thing for front-end development. That's React and the likes. So there are a lot of people that do this thing. So you have to do your research to find someone that does it. But as much as possible that you're trying to get free tutorials, you should be willing to sacrifice to pay for premium tutorials also, because some of these courses you won't get that actual thing you're looking for in the free tutorials. You probably have to take the extra mile, or you can even find premium tutorials for free. So there are ways to go about this thing. So I think Udemy, is it Udemy or Coursera? I think Coursera, there's a way you can apply for financial grants on Coursera and you get all those premium courses for free. You can there's a Telegram channel called Udemy Off. You can just on Telegram, just open Telegram and search for Udemy Off. So that channel simply gives you coupon codes that you'll be able to use on Udemy to get those courses for free. So I think I have like 40 courses there about on my Udemy account. And also, yeah, if you need access to my Udemy account, I always give that out. So I have some courses I've already paid for. Some of them I got them for free. Some of them, someone uses my Udemy account and she pays for courses. So I'm very sure she'll be open to sharing it with someone else too. So yeah, if you need my Udemy account, I can always share that so you can go and watch videos. And I'll also advise to start out with YouTube. The sincere truth is, if you can successfully get a good tutorial on YouTube, learn from that tutorial properly, I think from there it will be easy to pick up any other thing you need to do. I don't want to say you should start out by reading, because me, I don't enjoy reading. So for some people here that don't also enjoy reading, check out YouTube. If you enjoy reading, go to the documentation. So for web development, just go out to maybe W3 schools. You'll be able to learn typically anything you want to learn in the basics of web development. It's for design. My design people will be able to help out. But so for design, I think someone said Dribble. I typically check Behance and also reach out to some of these guys here. I tagged Semasa and Olamide. I would still tag the other ones I'm saying here. And any of my friends that is on this channel, I'll just tag them. So for any area you want to learn and it cuts across these areas, you can DM these people. They're very busy people too. So and if they don't answer, you can always DM me. I would always be willing to, I'll be open to help anybody that has any issues. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Kazim. Thank you so much, Kazim. I would love that. Yes, I think we can appreciate Kazim by following Kazim. We can appreciate Kazim by following Kazim. So please, guys, follow Kazim. And Kazim, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this space. I mean, I know that I'm starting tech soon, and I think it's web development. I'm going to start WordPress. I'd actually started it before, but due to my laziness, don't mind me. Due to activities and all of that, I stopped it because it was diverting my attention, and I don't like when I when I start something and my energy is not in it. So please let's follow Kazim. It will be glad that you follow Kazim. Thank you so much, everyone. It's actually a blessed time with everybody. And I want to say thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Kazim has put it in his